Everyone, sorry we're late. We love you. So sorry. It's been a hectic day. It's been a multiverse of madness day. But welcome to Nom Watch Review, part of Nom Talk Network. On the show, we review the latest film drop or throwback, celebrating a milestone while eating and drinking our favorite movie snacks and drinks. So I'm your host again for the freaking second night. Whatever. I love it. My name is Jordyn Orozco, and right now I'm enjoying a wonderful Lilu Dallas multi-pass old fashioned. Love it. Here for it. We love it. And I just ate some mom spaghetti. Love her. She's great. She made me some spaghetti and I love her. And I would love to introduce my wonderful guest for the evening. Toni, it is wonderful to see you again. I'm so happy you're a guest on the show again. Oh, I love you.
I'm back.
Yes, I love it. Juan. Oh, Toni, yes, go. What are you eating? What are you drinking? What's going on?
I am in a total reversal because yesterday I was like, let me be healthy because I want to impress the audience or whatever. Yeah, it's not a day to impress anybody. So I am like drinking. It's supposed to be a dirty martini, but I believe it's 90% brine. And with a splash of vermouth and vodka. So I think it technically qualifies still as a martini. And just to prove how super classy I am, I'm nomming on some Cheez-Its. So martini and
Cheez-Its.
You're the class. You're the vibe. So don't even talk about it. I love it.
We love Toni.
I thought you were drinking a Queen's Red Apple, which is what I had earlier in Disneyland today. But you're drinking a martini.
We get it. You went to Disneyland today. You're so much cooler than I am.
Shut up. Anyway.
We got it.
And, oh, wait. Oh, what? I went where? Who's this? Anyway. Juan, hi. It is so good to see you. Last time we were together, we were doing Power Rangers Turbo. Man.
Yes, we were.
What's going on? What are you nomming on? What are you drinking on? What's going on?
Oh man, I am nomming on some Cheetos hot, little Cheeto hot Fritos with lime, you know, con limón de lemon. The lime, loving it, loving the spice while drinking it down with a little bit of Arizona iced tea, a little bit of raspberry, you know.
That's for the Arizona.
It's solid, good stuff, you know. Gonna be driving in a little bit, so you know your boy can't be drinking right now. Gotta be safe out there. You know, gotta be good.
Right. Good for you.
Don't get me wrong. No, but I'll probably still have a shot of whiskey before I leave. But whatever.
Absolutely. Shh. Don't tell anybody. It's fine. And Alex, it is so good to see you again as a guest. I feel like we like switch off between like guest and host, and I love it.
We do.
I'm like here for it. I'm like, yeah. What are you nomming on? What are you drinking? What's going on?
Well, one, I definitely have that lovely futuristic meal that's always existing from Taco Bell. A little bit of quesadilla here, some tacos itself, some Dr. Pepper. I mean, what is the most perfect choice of restaurant in the future? Taco Bell.
McDonald's.
I have to, yeah.
McDonald's.
hey, Taco Bell. But yeah, I'm just getting my fatty on and getting a little larger, ready to discuss some Fifth Element.
If somebody had two golden menus or had a McDonald's thing and then two golden menus, I would have died. The thing would have been over. It would have just fucking been ended. Anyway, in case any of you haven't guessed what we're talking about, we are talking about the wonderful and amazing and awesome film of The Fifth Element, right? Which is celebrating its 30th anniversary, which
25th.
Yeah. Thank you, because I felt old when I was like, what the fuck? But 25th anniversary, this is literally one of my favorite films of all time. It is absolutely amazing. It was ahead of its time. And I think that there's so much to discuss about it, including the director, including the actors, including the soundtrack, right? Like soundtrack by itself. I have it, CD, still have it, right? Like it's just an amazing film. So if any of you don't know what Fifth Element is, it's about, we have our wonderful main character, Bruce Willis, who's our like knight in shining armor, but like he's kind of hot in this. And I'm like, I'm here for it. And the costume design was Jean-Paul Gaultier, right? Like everything in this freaking everything in this freaking movie was designed by Jean-Paul Gaultier, which he does the cologne, he does the perfume where it's like the torso of a man. It's like, right? Like, but also he's just like a fashion icon, right? Like everything is Jean-Paul Gaultier. Opens up with Bruce Willis, right? Like he's this he's kind of like a crook, kind of like a no good, like dirty guy who's like, oh, like I drive a taxi, but it's really like for, like, and then he he has to take it in to get it done, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this like random girl falls from the sky, literally falls in his taxi. And in the future, by the way, all the cars are like floating. They're like driving on like little things, and this whole story begins of how she was genetically designed to save the world from evil, right? But it's specifically set in a scientific, like a sci-fi way, where there's evil that exists out there, and this individual who is like genderless until we find out who she really is the person to save the universe, right? And we all think it's going to be a male, right? We all think it's going to be like the male savior, all that stuff, and then enters Mila Jovovich, right? Like, which iconic role, all this stuff. So leading up to this, I was never introduced to this story until me and my dad watched this together. I feel like a lot of my shit is like me and my dad, who's like super into sci-fi. Like he's like, watch Aliens at 4, and I'm like, great, I'll watch this, but I have nightmares to this day about aliens, and like they're gonna eat me and attack me, right? Like, but I feel like my dad introduced me a lot to this stuff, which I give him like credence to it, and he was the first one that introduced me to this movie, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I you have Mila Jovovich, you have Bruce Willis, you have Chris Tucker, right? Like you have all these people, like you have these powerhouses.
Gary Oldman.
Yes, Gary Oldman, right?
Ian Holm.
Like, one of my freaking heroes, man.
Luke Perry, right? Which like he's like a blip in the movie, but like you have all these people.
Freaking Bilbo Baggins, man. Ian Holm.
Thank you. Dildo Saggins, right? Like you have all these people.
Damn.
You have like but no, like for real. You have all these people that are just introduced in this movie that are just like iconic. And for me, it was a milestone. Like it was a milestone to the point where I got a tattoo. Let's go with Juan. Juan, what did you feel like leading up to this movie? Like how did you get introduced to The Fifth Element?
Gosh, dude, man, it's like it's a crazy thing. Like this movie came out when I was 5, like 97. Yeah, like the
you
90s,
make me feel old, man.
Hey, man, we all getting there, brother. I feel age is nothing but a number. I get you, my boy. Alex, you're right here on my screen, so you're good, bro. You're good.
I think I'm older than all of you.
Yeah,
I think I'm older than all of you.
Oh man.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Like I'm trying to like remember like the farthest time I saw, like just the earliest time I can remember watching this movie, but I truly always remembered watching this movie on TNT. Like growing up, like it was always on TNT. Oh, it was always on it. And I liked it before it was like when it was the actual whole movie. And then now you'd be watching it on TV, be like, wait, there's like 3 seconds missing. Like I hate it when they're doing that now. That really annoys the crowd. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's like one more line in there, but that's just how my mind works. But like watching it on TNT, I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes, The Fifth Element. Like growing up, like that also introduced me to freaking opera. Like, oh my gosh, like I was just like like I was just vibing out the whole time, like, and just seeing like Bruce Willis, Mila, and freaking like Gary Oldman, like he's freaking amazing. Like Chris Tucker. That's why I had to pull out the cheetah, for my man Ruby. Like I had to do it, and it was like so much fun, like seeing just that, like to my left we got it, to my right, like he just going like, boy, I'm just dying as a kid just watching this movie, and like it was awesome, the action, and now watching it from like a stuntman, like professional actor's perspective and all that stuff. You're just like watching the fights and everything. You're just like, yes, double. Oh, look at those flips. gunfights. And like you said, this movie was way ahead of its time. Yeah, 97. Like a lot of space movies came out in the 90s, which is so great. So many space movies. When you really think about it, like a lot.
Like Event Horizon, right? Like that came out in the 90s. Like we had all these like weird Mission to Mars, right? Like
Lost in Space.
We had all these. Yes,
dude. Lost in Space. Oh, so I always wanted that.
Lost in Space.
Yeah. That whole helmet thing was so sick.
Freaking Matt LeBlanc, right? Like a friend.
I loved it. I loved
like
that
in
movie.
it. Right.
It was amazing.
We lost Toni for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure she'll come back. So let's go to Alex. Alex, what was going on with Fifth Element? How were you introduced to the movie?
There's a common habit of me bringing up things here, and it's TNT. TNT, Turner Network Television introduced me to so many weird yet iconic films.
Yeah.
And mostly Monster Division held me on the horror genre, and then they'd have their action genre in the center, which would be anything from like Speed to like The Matrix eventually became a thing later on. But yeah, like Fifth Element, it came on TNT for me. My father introduced me to as well. We were sitting down and it was like, hey, you check this out. He was kind of funny. Crazy side note before I mention this. Juan, you mentioned, speaking this introduced you to opera. Do you know that there was no altercations in her pitch changing? There was no editing. That was her voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was like, like the amount of that drives me nuts. Like the amount of power that woman had. And the crazy thing is, supposedly she actually had an additional, I think it was 20 minutes of song they cut out just because it just didn't fit. So I mean, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me. There was a lot additional music missing on that thing too as well. But and then along with that too as well, it was just an introduction. Like, oh, hey, check this out. It's great. But it's such a great film. A great film in my sense because it was an introduction to sci-fi for me in a sense, but in a different way. It was the first way that I could actually see a reasonable future that was like, holy crap, that could happen. Just because to me that the coloring of the movie, the way it looked, just the picturesque version of it, it was very attainable for me. Like, oh, I could definitely see in the future having flying car. That'd be neat. Bruce Willis is, I would say, one of my action icons growing up, mainly because I knew him from my favorite Christmas movie, Die Hard. So this is one of those things. It's a great actor. I loved him. I do know that he was, positioned a lot of, I would say, roles like this, but it just fit him. I couldn't really see anybody beyond this as well. And then I really have to mention this, Gary Oldman. He is the man, the myth, the legend. When it comes to that, my thing is that I didn't realize it was Gary Oldman until like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
like range.
Gary Oldman.
In opinion, I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, wait a minute, that was him in The Professional. Oh, and Fifth Element. What the heck? That kind of thing. So, anyway, it was all TNT. Love the film. Big fan. So that's how
loved it.
Right? Yeah.
I love this I love this connection, like the TNT connection. I was like, I didn't watch TNT apparently as much as like y'all did, but like, there's like this connection.
I remember watching it on country Dish. Though, and satellite and Dish Network was what picked it up, and TNT was everywhere, like military brat TNT.
Yes. Dish Network, bro. That's what it was. Dish Network. Oh my god.
I would say apparently I was a Time Warner bitch. So I'm like, okay, Time Warner, like that's
you
all
had the fast stuff. At that time, Dish was a little slow. Like when the storm came in, we lost reception.
Yes, Toni, let's get to you. Sorry we lost you for a little bit, but how did you get introduced to Fifth Element? What's going on with that?
So I remember seeing, and it's a trip to think that I was only 8, because I have a very vivid memory of seeing, like, going to the movie theater. Can't remember what I was there to watch, but it was not Fifth Element. And I saw that massive, huge cardboard cutout. And it was like, wait a minute, like Bruce Willis doesn't make these kind of movies. Like, and who, it was just like, I don't understand why these names are partnered together, because those people do not make movies together. And they certainly don't make these kind of movies together. And I remember having that thought, and I was like, I really want to see that. And I remember even telling my mom, like, I want to go see Fifth Element. and my mother is a conservative Mexican Catholic woman, so like that was not on the table. So she didn't let me go see it in the theater, which was bullshit. But shout out to me and my local movie gallery, because I remember renting this movie. I also remember when HBO got the rights to it, and they started playing it just repeatedly. I loved it. And I was like, when I did see it, I was even more mad at my mom because I was like, oh, this would have been so great to see in the theater. And she denied that to me. Oh my God, I hate her. No, but I love her, but I hate her. So I loved every bit of it. And I didn't really understand where it was going. I didn't understand how it worked, even though I was like, this is hilarious. This is awesome. It's moving. I don't know why I'm emotional now. I don't know why Bruce Willis is making me cry, because Bruce Willis does not make me cry in movies, but he definitely did in this movie.
Man had a story to tell.
Right. I don't know why Chris Tucker is just in cheetah print and roses, especially because at that point I had only ever known him from his appearances on Def Comedy Jam and Friday. And I think at this point, I don't think he had made any of the Rush Hour movies yet, but I definitely think he was at least making a couple of, I think he made that Charlie Sheen movie up to that point. So he was already like, people knew him, but it was like, we didn't think that he was that kind of comedic actor where he would just be like, if I get to be funny, I don't care what I have to wear, I'll do it. And I'll do more than just be Chris Tucker. I'll actually play a character and it'll be something fun and exciting. And the whole Gary Oldman thing, this movie tripped me out so much because I think it was only 7 years ago where somebody pointed out that Bruce Willis and Gary Oldman never share a scene together, even though they are the protagonist and antagonist.
So crazy.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just played the whole movie in my head just now.
I was years old.
Your spot.
They don't share a single scene. God. They have no dialogue with each other. They have no interaction. In fact, they are completely unaware of each other. Zorn has no idea that a taxi driver named Corbin Dallas is out there, and vice versa. Nothing to do with one another. And that's so trippy and crazy because it's like, I don't think of this movie as an ensemble film, but I'm like, it has to be in order for them to be that connected and that well connected to each other and still have like this really great, like almost magnetic
way. But his lackey had to get Corbin Dallas's ID, so wouldn't he know that what Corbin Dallas? He just
knows that Corbin Dallas is the winner of the contest.
Yeah, they don't know what
he
they
doesn't
are.
know that Corbin Dallas is the savior of the world and is
that
he
just
has
blew
no clue
my
about anything
else.
Oh my God. It's crazy. I'm sorry, I won't interrupt you. Please continue what you're talking about.
Interrupt at will because I could just go on and on about every little bitty thing that I love about it.
It's crazy about
we are
that, though.
today years old.
That's crazy though, because like if you look at the whole film in general, it has that, which I consider what's the term, a Da Vinci-esque vibe to it. And what I mean by it, that it's in the future. We are looking aspects of obviously forward thinkers. I mean, you look mechanics. There's nothing in there that I would say timing wise. Yet, from the opera singing, from the music, from the characters. I mean, even Chris Tucker is somewhat of a classic, not only jester, but in the classic form of an icon in this. It's everything about it. There's little artistic, things to it. And don't get me wrong, it's goofy, hilarious, goofy as hell. I mean, who can figure, forget the whole concept? I mean, you hear multipass? What else are you gonna think of? There's nothing else you can get that confused anywhere in time. But I just, Lord. I will tell you this though. One thing though that I think they nailed on the head is the environment. You have ultimately, in my opinion, garbage. Like 8 different scenes technically in the whole film. Yet you actually believe that you're in a full alternative universe. It's like you really don't really see planet intergalactic changes. You only see mostly usually battles between departments, maybe jumping through about traffic in space. You're in the opera house. There is space with the intergalactic fights, but then you're on the ship. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, we look in the past in time. You do see the land, desert, and the ruins, but that's about it. I mean, in reality, what the scenes that they use and everything they use, they take advantage. I believe you like really engulf in the world really quickly, regardless of the amount of scenes they have. So I mean, but Yeah, I love it. Big fan.
All the garbage, how society is just ugh, like, oh god.
It's rough.
I
Well,
think
I love how they actually. Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. I wanted to read some comments from the chat. So Q said, I'm eating Pringles and drinking Mountain Dew. Fifth Element was a good kick-ass movie, and I rate it 5 out of 5. I'm 44 and I feel old when people mention certain movies or favorite albums came out years ago. LOL. And then Q said, "Who remembers Dazed and Confused?" Or you're talking about like all of that.
Great.
Right?
I love Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I want to go back to Alex's point where it was like, I don't know if any of you have ever played Cyberpunk, but it's giving me very much Cyberpunk vibes. Like it's giving me very much like futuristic LA, but also like New York, like right, like trash below the like the smog level, right? Like, and it was very realistic for me, where it was like, this isn't far fetched. Where it was like when I was watching Star Wars, I was like, I don't think this will happen for another like millennia. But this movie, I was like, this could happen in like 40 years.
Very
right?
attainable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, especially when it's like, when the police are at McDonald's and they're like, doing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, like for sure, like that's going to happen. And then there was like, and Bruce Willis drives a taxi, like it's very like now, but like set in maybe 30, 40 years from now. Right. And I feel like, I feel like it's really great.
This movie was ahead of its time.
It was,
the writers
it was insane. I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to grow up into. And I didn't, because I'm 34, and I'm like,
I feel like it was the nerds that fell in love with Star Wars that created like this stuff. Because like Star Wars came out in the 80s. Like we're thinking like like teenagers, people that are old enough, they're writers, and they become the writers. But I have this story, space, other planets, elements, Mila Jokovic. What do you think?
Well, I mean, also too, on that same note, like given the fact that Juan bringing up like, okay, who actually created these stories could be the fan, and it could be actually very well fan base of Star Wars. And then the fact that Jordyn, that you admit that fact that it's attainable. A thing about this though, to me, was it's a reflection of society. And like, as you said, all of you mentioned this, you have rich societal concepts in the very higher class. Everybody went to opera, went there because they had money. If they didn't, they were winners of an event. And even if you looked at Bruce Willis's character being a soldier in the very beginning, it was a very tight one bedroom apartment. Everything came out. It was very, very, very confirmed or confined. And even though he was out of the position he did, or out of life that he was pursuing, or he didn't want to pursue anymore, they pulled him right back in. Reality, that's reality of military. Tons of times, I would say at least 3 in the past 10 years, people being retired were pulled back in because of a societal event that we've had in that regard. Like you guys talked about bottom level trash, how they dealt with things. I mean, it was like a big, walking outside, I hate to say it, going to work or, going to wherever I need to be. Unfortunately, we saw reflections like this in every day. I mean, unfortunately, I don't want to see it, but there's homeless there. They need help. You need it. I don't want to always do it, but hand help. Money handing out. You saw like a lot of reflections of this in the film itself. And yes, it was a bummer, but I think at the same time, it was enough little accents of it to where it helped develop the storyline. You're like, okay, I can see this happening. All right, sure, there is hovering cars, but that was like 20. This could be happening in 20 years. I can see it be doable. So I do think it helped a lot. Even to the extreme weapons you looked at. I mean, in the very beginning of the fact that Bruce Willis is almost held up with that huge weapon. You guys like, give me your cash. Give it to me.
Like, you need some help with that. So he's just like, give me the weapon.
And
if you don't, like,
I love that the gag is that he puts it in a crate with other equally ridiculous guns.
Yeah.
And the implication is that it's probably the 6th time he's been mugged that week.
Exactly.
By probably the same crackhead, but
he's used to that, right? He's lived in it the whole time. Like, how freaking crazy is that?
But you also got to think, no normal person would be doing that. He's, for like you said, he's boss ass level military. He's just like, bro, I stared so many guns in the face. You think your weak ass is gonna scare me? Literally, where Corbin Dallas lives is the Spirit Airlines of flight travel. Guys, like you were saying, it's small, compact, and you were saying different levels and stuff. Everyone else living that Emirates lifestyle. My man Corbin Dallas living that Spirit Airlines lifestyle.
Dude,
man.
yeah, maybe like Southwest Airlines, maybe on that regard, because that was rough.
Hey, at least South Airlines is actually like they actually have commercials. Spirit Airlines don't got no commercials.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone knows what to expect with freaking Spirit. Hey, it is what it is. Good luck. That's what they say.
No question. Speaking of Spirit Airlines and like money and costs,
Yeah.
What is your guy? Because like personally, I think seeing this film now and the special effects, the CGI, and even the practical that I see with the aliens and the characters, they're still spot on. Like I would compare that, still put it in like compete it in today's stuff. I felt like the alien, the details, even from I can't think of her name. It's gonna bug me. The lead opera singer. I still like. I understand she's blue. I understand she's an alien.
Her name is the Diva Plava Laguna.
Yeah.
The Diva Plava. Thank you. I have to.
So her real name is Mawen. It's like It's like MAI with 2 dots on top. WENN. Like Mawen. Like she is. Where is she? She from? She from France.
Like I said,
She from France.
Man. She from France, man.
I'm just saying. I think I'm impressed. I still think they can still compare to nowadays with a lot of.
Wait, actually, I think she's
Look
just
up
the
what
actress.
the budget is for this movie.
I'm going to do that right now.
Do it. It's going to trip you out.
Okay.
So I want to talk about a couple things so the first thing I want to talk about is the costumes.
Sorry. Just read it.
No, go. What was it?
So the budget, estimated about 93 million.
90 million.
93 million worldwide.
That is like a marketing budget for a Today movie. That is like the marketing budget for Multiverse of Madness.
In the 90s, millions of 93 million. Oh my gosh, 93
we
million.
Well, you know what?
And back then,
we were making
that's like
$200 million movies. So the fact that this is made for only 90 and it's still that good and it still holds up.
Yeah.
And there's no crazy wonky CGI anywhere, and most of it is practical. Like
internationally wise, this movie made $200 million worldwide.
Yeah, they made bank.
260. Yeah, this movie made.
Made bank. Yeah.
I want to talk about the costumes because Jean-Paul Gaultier, excuse me, nobody. I've always wanted to cosplay Lilu. I've always wanted to cosplay Corbin. Like. And then not even introducing Ruby Rod, right? Like leopard print, like bodysuit, roses, all of that, right?
And pulling all the chicks in the world while looking like that.
I know, right? The amount of swag he had and confidence.
Eating chicks out, literally on the plane.
Yep.
But also too, like even the flight attendants, like their costumes, right? Like even the Mangalores, even like the people that were in the government, right? Like,
they're checking the visas and shit. They were only in the damn little cubicle, but they had a full-on ensemble.
The freaking costumes were absolutely out of this world, and I'm like, you had to have been a designer to just even imagine like these costumes for this movie, right? Like, like it's the future. Like it's fine. Like you can do like a what is it like a BioShock like thought of it, but he took BioShock and like put it on crack, and then it was like amazing. Like all these costumes were absolutely gorgeous. And I felt like even like the diva, right? Like, and then even like the people that were helping her were absolutely amazing. And
hairstyles, like, oh man,
absolutely.
Yeah, dude had half a hair. Like, dude was one of Ruby's little henchmen. He had half a thing. It was just this,
right. And it was like, but even like Lilu's, like throughout like, I wanted to dye my hair orange. Like,
dude, the 90s. Oh my god,
I wanted to do orange.
So much colored hair in the 90s.
Orange, all of it, right? And I thought it was. I thought it was an absolute genius. And
Jordyn,
yes.
Just I wanted to bring you on something. I have to say this because on the point that you're mentioning right now with a costume cost. I just looked it up. So like curiosity killed the cat while you were talking about this. When you were talking about every single costume, so evidently the number right now is so far 1,021 costumes he designed for this.
Wow.
And to like just back up the point you made, he went all the way to design the McDonald's wait staff costumes. Everybody behind that. You like no joke. Holy crap, that's intense.
I'm seeing the costumes of like the McDonald's people had.
It's like right here.
Yeah,
because essentially when to back up
earlier.
continue. Yeah, exactly. And to back up the continue what you said there, Jordan, there's supposedly the 1,021 that went through were not the 5,026 drawings that he did previously. So he submitted 5,026 and they had to limit those down. So they had to knock out almost 4,000 costume designs down to that 1,000. I can't. I had no idea. That's gnarly.
That's
I think it's part of the reason why this like still feels real. Like it's still a believable sci-fi movie, just because I think a wardrobe designer comes at it from a point of view of like, how's it going to look on screen? And obviously there has to be a level of functionality. But when you're a fashion designer and you are working almost exclusively on dressing people's body, and it has to look good while being worn, while in movement. And also you're already thinking about like, what is it that, I think we always kind of just, recycle styles. And I mean, it's not even that I know that. So when we see that, like, for example, when Tiny Lister as the president, that's not like a crazy looking outfit. It's just a coat with, a hidden zipper. And that makes sense because it's like, we would probably still be rocking suits and slacks, especially if you had like a super important job like that. If you were in the military, you're probably still going to be using some kind of utility jacket and you're probably going to wear the same little Tammy. And so on and so forth. So even when like, I think my favorite costume out of the entire movie is the one that Eve Savelle wears in the airport. She's the model who's the bald model with the head tattoo.
Yes.
When they're the Mandalores in disguise trying to get on as Mila and Corbin Dallas.
And it's like,
it's like a red feather like vest, and then like the skirt is she's actually wearing a thong with like a see-through green plastic skirt.
Yes.
And it's like, it looks so amazing. Because I mean, I think if you had like left that up to anybody else, I think it would have it still would have looked cool, but I think it would have been really obvious that it was a costume as opposed to an outfit. So I think bringing in a fashion designer, one that especially has the ability to have a more avant-garde style is definitely the way to go, but definitely someone that could make it believable in that way, that it would be something that people would want to wear.
Right, literally want to wear right now. Like really looking at the fashion, like you're saying the whole feather and like then like all the netting, the crop top, the freaking all the super. I'm just like really looking at like playing the movie in my head. I'm like, I feel like I've seen so many of these kids rocking clothes like this, like nonstop, like the designers like so far ahead with everything. It's like this movie was made in 97. I can't remember what year is this movie like supposed to be. It's like 25, 21 something or. I don't remember what the year is.
2025.
Okay, 2020. Yeah,
2025. 3 years from now.
Now, I want to tell you right now, before you go into that, you were about to hit something on the head. So they were actually doing fall winter design reports. You guys got me lost into this rabbit hole stuff.
The 90s of fashion.
They evidently did like this winter fashion report in the last 10 years, and they did a comparison. Someone has been comparing fashion line to the fashion line in The Fifth Element. They have said right now that places like Forever 21, Marshalls have admitted that The Fifth Element has inspired certain lines they've had. And then in turn, there have been films like The Hunger Games. There have been films like, what is this? I can't find it. There's quite a few that they claim that they cannot mention their designs would go anywhere without The Fifth Element. So I find it fascinating that they took that step, like all of you have said, to actually use a designer, and that designer had the ability to know what in his mind what fashion and design would be 1,000 years from that point.
90s,
it's like the 90s. Holy
90s.
crap. He did a guesstimation, and this is a really vague term, a guesstimation, and thought and figured out what fashion could be, and very well he could have in turn shaped fashion in the future already by doing something of that nature.
Yeah,
It just God
yeah,
dang.
like, this movie starts in 1911 and then it shoots to 2025 and it's like, oh yeah, garbage all over the world. It's like, yeah, our oceans are really fucked up. Oh, look at all these clothes. And like Barry's like, yeah, freaking junior hires walking down the street with metal and freaking feathers on their bodies. It's like, and they keep claiming like they discovered it. No, you freaking did it. That is all our generation. Y'all need to shut the hell up and stop acting like y'all be crazy. Oh my God, have you seen this? Yeah, bitch, it's a Tamagotchi. Like, shut up. Like, we know what it is. Y'all don't know shit. Y'all stop taking our stuff.
I bought one and it pissed me off, so I just let it.
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi?
I did. It was terrible.
Tamagotchi is such a pain in the friggin' ass.
So like these outfits were amazing. Like I just remember watching it and being like, I want to do that. I want to be that, right? Like I just remember seeing it, and then not only that, but the album, right? Like Eric Serra, who like composed or like and did all of the music for
soundtrack.
for this. Yes, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Like
I remember people used to just always talk about soundtracks of movies in the 90s and like I feel like
that was a thing.
There was such
well,
a
then
thing.
also too, soundtracks at the time being, and still are kind of days, something pre-released out pretty early compared to the actual film itself. So a lot a of like
Tower Records.
Films,
Go to Tower Records, get yourself do a soundtrack.
Definitely.
Well, not only that, but I mean, the 90s was like the rise of like the super composer. Because throughout the 70s and 80s, it was only John Williams, right?
Yep.
And then once you got into the 90s, then you started branching off and you had, not just John Williams, but now you've got Michael Giacchino's getting his start. Hans Zimmer is just absolutely killing it. So, I mean, because for so long, the only name in composers really was John Williams. And he's still killing it today. How old is he? He's 104. He'll compose until into his afterlife.
To the year 2020.
He has to, apparently.
God, 3 years. That's in 3 years.
The funny thing is that I'm curious. Let me look up some. Go ahead, so I want to look at some real quick here because if I'm correct, I want to check when. Oh, go ahead, I guess.
Albums, music, we love it. No. So I remember buying this album and being and the CD, right? Like I remember going specifically to, it wasn't even Tower Records, like it was like some like offshoot like a record store that I went to, and I was like, do you have this element? Like, do you have this element stores? They're like, yeah, it's right here. And like I bought it, and it literally was like one of my most prized possessions for like a really long time. Alex,
what?
Crazy. No, go ahead, Alex. You had something.
No, I was just looking. I'm sorry.
He'll let us know when he finds it.
Once he's done. No, I know though that the score just has like obviously so many influences, and that's like definitely the way it's reflecting the film. It doesn't sound like anything else. Yeah. And it just tripped me out right now because I was just thinking like, what is probably my favorite, soundtrack from sci-fi soundtrack from the 90s? It's cliched, but I thought it was The Matrix until I remembered like, oh, this is 93. Holy shit. It's a whole 6 years before Matrix. Yeah. Which is kind of effing crazy because I mean, there are definitely portions of that score.
93?
93, yeah, because Matrix came out in 99.
What came out in 93?
95.
95, sorry. Yeah, 2 years.
So I was like, wait, what?
How dare I? Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No.
It's The Matrix.
Wait, I thought Fifth Element
before
came out in
Matrix
97.
is the point. Like, maybe that's for the best because after The Matrix came out, everything started to sound like The Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys sure? Are you sure it came out in 97?
Yeah. So I'm looking up some. What I was essentially curious about was like, where did it come from? And evidently, it was a novel. Actually 97. So it was technically a screenplay from a novel that was adapted from another screenplay. It's a kind of very vague. Interesting thing about that though is I always thought this was an American-made film, but we're full of crap. So basically,
I was wondering if it was
it's
the book first.
European-made
Element?
film. Yes, the film.
No.
I know. I'm sorry, Fred. It's a European-made film. I had to step back on that because I just didn't know. It's just like I said, I'm learning some new things about that today. But evidently, for the longest time, it was the largest box office European hit movie until it was actually knocked out by one called The Untouchables, I believe. The Intouchables in 2011. So evidently, it took all the way to 2011 to make a higher grossing film for European films. I was just kind of curious because to me, it just, once again, when it came to whether it's the costume design, whether it's the reflection of society, whether it is, the acting was fantastic. I just think, to me, it just, I believe, Juan, you said it before, it was a film ahead of its time. Yes, like they're fans of Star Wars, and yes, they are fans of things like any kind of, heavy sci-fi genre. But when I do think of seeing The Fifth Element, to me, it just seems, once again, the realistic vibes of it is really, really heavy. And how comedic and how funny it is, it just, you're looking at, in the end, you definitely have like some questionable moralistic things that go throughout the whole dang film. And it's just, I don't know. I found it, interesting to, the choice of the president. I thought that was awesome.
My man Debo.
Yeah, it's great. R.I.P. man. Oh man, I thought that was fantastic. To me, that was a statement, in my opinion, as funny as that might have been too as well. But I do. I mean, honestly, the costumes. I can't. I keep coming back to those. You can't think of anything. Like you think of her, like Multipass. I think of the orange concept, the costume. But the crazy thing is that even though I think of orange, and yes, a lot of people, because it got like, evidently the reviews in the film weren't negative initially on release, and it was more positive by the fan base, but evidently the right amount of people complained about this film and called it grotesque and anti-prude and out there because of the costumes, how revealing they were. So evidently her costume in the very beginning and the fact that she was nude in the first 3 minutes of the film, and it was because she was in her birthday suit. A lot of people are like, oh, this is bad, this is blasphemy, and there's a lot of negative reviews. So it was hard to get contracts and get seen in the States for a while. But I do believe that beyond, even though her costume setup, I still believe it was still great costume. It was the costume itself. There was no part of it to me that I saw was like, oh, that's cheeky. It was more along that's kind of badass. You know what I mean? It's hard to say.
Cheeky.
Like,
I love that. I'm gonna refer to shit
like,
from now on. I'm gonna be like, cheeky.
But
white crop top, orange suspenders.
No, but like the bandages, right?
Yeah,
like, it was
the bandages. That's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly.
And it was like this. And then it was like,
exactly.
That was her
first. That was her first one. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, though. Even at that moment, it would, to me, I just, once again, whether it was, and even the McDonald's ones, they even did, if I was looking correctly, they even did a fashion show lineup for the costumes they did in the actual Fifth Element. But once again, like even the design of the costumes of the McDonald's workers were ridiculously nice. I was like, oh, let's support those. But anyway.
The movie that came out in 97.
It was 97.
Was 97.
Steph, the producer, just said it came out in 97. Juan's right, everyone.
Came out in 99. I was right. Hooray for me.
Rush Hour 98.
I feel like we have to talk about other stuff because I know we love how good it effing looks, especially the wardrobe. What else do we talk about? Because there's so many good things to talk about.
There's just a lot.
Guide me. Give me a topic to talk about.
I mean, hypothetically speaking, if you want to, because we're going to go into like storyline and development. I mean, honestly, once again, it's a classic, unintentional hero. It's the unintentional.
What's up?
But like, just, you're looking at like this unintentional hero. I just believe that the hero development, I think it's great. In a classic guy that doesn't want to be the hero per se, and he becomes a hero. He becomes a hero, and then he's a good guy because he just naturally rolls into it. So to me, I think the character development in himself is fantastic.
Well, he also is an action hero because he's a military man. He specializes in every single weapon. He is the ultimate for the military. So he went from, okay, I'm retired. Okay, I'm back. all right, let's
Yeah,
do this.
yeah.
I won. I got to kill a whole lot of people. I am going to die hard the shit out of this whole mission. Man, dude, Bruce Willis, that's just who he was, bro. Bruce Willis was the man. There is no, I don't even know if there's any Bruce Willis movie where he doesn't like whoop some kind of ass.
Right.
Without a
Right.
gun. Like the only time I've seen, even in fucking Friends, when he played Homegirl's mom, he still wanted to fight Ross. Still wanted to do that. But
Oh
we're
my
really
God.
thinking about, I don't know.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think of every movie Bruce Willis has done. Does he not ever not have, actually wait. I don't think he had a gun in the in Ocean's 11. Where was that?
He was
12
Ocean's
when he
11?
popped? Was
Ocean's
it 12?
12.
12, yeah, where he popped, but he was playing himself. But when Bruce Willis is not playing himself, he has a gun in his hand.
He's got something. He's
whooping someone's ass.
Look, I mean, I think from like the beginning of this film to the end of this film, and what I like about a film is that there's character development, right?
Yeah.
Like even with like Lulu, right? Where it's like she knows who she is, like from the jump. She's like, I gotta save the world. But then Bruce is like, hey, like, no, like you gotta realize
element.
Yeah, like you got to realize something before you do it. And then she sees the history of the last, what is it, like 5,000 years. And she's like, oh, y'all are fucked up. Like, y'all have nuclear war. Y'all have like all these things that like, it's not worth saving. Like, fuck, right. Like, and I feel like Bruce has to come in and be like, no, like, we're good. And then you see the character development between Crook and then between like savior and then like lover, right? Like you see this like development, right? Which is what I was like missing in like Doctor Strange, like when I did the review yesterday, right? Where it's like, I don't see the character development, but in Fifth Element, you get everything. Like you get all the character development. Even like Gary Oldman, who's like, oh shit, like I'm fucked because I'm following this dude who's not gonna give me like anything. And then he's like, all right, I'm just gonna like try and like just give into evil, and then you know what, I'm fucked, and then he blows up, right? But I feel like even like Chris Tucker and like all of them, like they like even in the end when even Chris Tucker's like, what the hell? Everything is bomb some, I'm leaving, and then he like leaves and he's like,
what you screaming for?
Yeah. Right?
Ah!
And
What you screaming for?
I feel like every aspect of this movie is growth. And even with everything that's going on, right? Like, and I feel like that is what is important for me, at least in a movie. And that is indicative of 90s movies. I feel like now it's not necessarily about the growth of the character, but it's more about the plot. And then like, how is it going to like tailor to the next film? Or how is it going to relate to some futuristic thing that happens, right? And I feel like The Fifth Element hits every single one of those milestones. It's every single one of those things, right? Toni, right? Like Toni, what do you think? Like, do you think it hits that way?
I mean, I think this is probably the junior version of Mad Max Fury Road. Because when I think about a movie that sort of has a bait and switch where you think you're getting a movie about a male protagonist and the male character is going to be the hero, the main character.
Tom Hardy.
And it actually turns out to be the badass chick that he's rolling with. Because even when he operates within most of that movie believing that he has to protect her. And most of the men treat her that way, that like, even though she is like the perfect being, this weapon, and that she can definitely kick ass, they still feel like they still have to protect her. But then she always makes it clear that like, I need your help, but I certainly don't need you to protect me. And I love the scene with Corbin and the diva, as she's like, dying and trying to tell him like, oh, like she needs you and your love. And he's just kind of like so like effed up about that because he's like, what the hell does that mean? I don't need to be emotionally vulnerable right now, miss, And he literally almost let that world come to an end because he just could not say I love you because there was just so much built up. And like we can get into conversations about like toxic masculinity and just like emotional.
Love it. That's my thesis. That's right. On Sunday.
But just literally his ability to be one, open with his emotions, and two, definitely open to love, even though he's a very lovelorn character. He kind of spends the majority of the first part of the first act just talking about how his wife left him, how he's sad, but he still like has hope that he's going to find the perfect woman. And he's not a perfect character at all, but I love the fact that there is growth there, and he just finally, and it just so happens that love is what we need, and love to save the world, literally. But there's also just that personal parallel for him too, where it's just like, oh yeah, I might actually be a better person, and I might have a better life if I just open myself up to love. Yay, love.
Wait, quick question. Did you say that like Tom Hardy's character and like the men feel like they need to protect Furiosa or the
No, definitely not. But
I was so confused. I was like,
no, not at all. I mean, the men in this movie feel like they need to protect Mila.
I was literally just like,
no, not at all. Not
Fury
in that.
Road, that bitch crazy. Like she got one arm.
She'll still kill everybody. No, but it was just more about the fact that we thought we were walking into a Bruce Willis movie.
Lilu.
We didn't walk into a Bruce Willis movie. Yes. We walked into a Lilu movie.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I as soon as you said Fury, I just started playing that, and I just started thinking about Furiosa because you said her. I was like, wait, what is happening?
I want a playback of the video because I just want to see Juan going like this the whole time.
Did you see my face? I was like,
I did. You were like, but the whole time.
I wanted to say, I'm like,
he tuned out, didn't catch any of it. He was too busy watching Fury Road in his head.
I was literally just like, is she saying that like the men had to protect Fury? Like what men had to feel like they like she tried to kill Tom Hardy?
No, but also I feel like you're right. I feel like there is especially in the 90s, and you know, since this is something that, you know, I have studied intensively, there's this need for directors and you know, screenwriters to be like, oh, women need to be saved by men. And then this was the turning point where it was just like, no, like they don't, like at all.
Late 80s, early 90s,
like they don't. And this movie for me was like, oh, you need to be vulnerable for like 2 seconds, and then she'll be fine. Right? Like, it wasn't like, I need you to make a baby. I need you to do this. I need this to be the nuclear family. It was like, oh, I just need to be validated for like 1 minute from somebody else other than myself, from people that are constantly telling me that I
just need to know that it's worth actually saving this stupid planet when you guys are just intent on just making a bunch of garbage and killing each other.
I just got reanimated. I was in a machine, so I'm gonna need y'all like to prove me some shit because I have been alive for at least like 45 minutes, and I am seeing pure bullshit right now.
But that felt so real because I'm like, any savior that would actually be sent to save us, I don't believe that they would just be like, they need to be saved no matter what. I hope that my savior is going to be like, actually, you guys are going to have to make this worth my while.
Excuse me.
Because not loving what I'm seeing.
We gotta give him we gotta give our savior chocolate. Did you bring him chocolate?
Did you give him Girl Scout cookies? Alex, what do you think? Like, do you think that this movie went in the right way for like the way that it did?
No, 1,000%. Well, you guys are hitting on a nail on the head. I mean, you're looking in regards to an actual female hero. The fact that not only a female hero on a, let's say, a film level, but more along the lines of an actor level, not what I'd say about 60% of her acting was physical on this. She hardly had any dialogue. And if the dialogue was there, it was meaningful. And it was meaningful of what you would consider ramblings in a sense. I mean, and the fact that, just to slightly, backpedal for a moment and touch base, but Toni said in regards to hero character development and how well they reflected off each other, he is the perfect definition of toxic masculinity and not wanting to develop or change per se, and yet having that small percentage in the back of his mind that knows he should change. From the very beginning, you see her land on that dang car and she's asking him for help. And he's like, nah, not doing it. And then she does it again. She's a little lighter. She's like, no, help. And he's like, come on, sweetie, I can't do this right now. And she's like, help, please. And the more she gets over there, the more human emotions get to him. He's like, God damn it. And he knows he has points on his card. You know what I mean? So it's when I say points on the card, because you have insurance points on an actual card in life, in everyday life. And now he has, taxi concept. But anyway, his character development, very strong, very well. Perfect definition of toxic masculinity, wanting to be a better person, and then finding this individual herself as a perfect form of a hero and a feminine, strong character, which you once again don't know about fully. And the fact that, you know, she had all that experience in DNA technically from being that old, because you got to remember she's brought back for that little piece and it develops, you know, from her whole body. So essentially that DNA transforms technically for somebody that has had this much life experience. And, you know, I just find the film development, characters, who they are, the reflections very well. And whether it's, whether it was intentional, obviously I do think it was. How much, you know, overthinking or thinking too much into, I'm not too sure. But I think it was a great reflection of society at the time being, especially in the 90s. And a good little step forward of progression and Rosie the Riveter, but a little touch of Blade Runner. So definitely.
Love it. Okay, so before we end, I need to get our popcorn ratings. I totally did ask for that, but I'm so excited. Toni, what would you give this popcorn rating? 0 to 5.
10s across the board. 10s, 10s, 10s. 5 out of 5. 100%. It's a great movie. It's a perfect. I don't know how is it a perfect movie? You know what? It satisfies so much of what I want. Like we were talking about how like it's an action movie, it's a comedy, there's drama, there's heart. There's so much to just look at. I mean, that movie just gets better with every rewatch because there's just so much like new details to see and to find. I love just being able to, my new thing now, because I've seen it so many times, is to kind of like see what the other outfits are looking like in that airport scene, or see like,
Yes.
or yeah, it's such a great movie. It's so awesome. It's so wonderfully detailed. Luc Besson is not a sci-fi director. I think his other claim to fame is Leon the Professional, which he did like, I think this movie took something like 3 to 5 years, or like an insane amount of time to actually write and then produce and then actually like film. So in between any of that, he literally was just like, all right, let me just take a break and like film this little film with Natalie Portman's, I don't know, some 9-year-old named Natalie Portman. And then it turned out to be like the defining hit of his career. And then he goes on and cracks out this for only $90 million, which is still insane to me, because I'm sure if we check the inflation on that, I mean, it would still be
easily
a mid-level budget movie.
Yeah.
So just for all the reasons, for anything and everything, I mean, I think it's like the first time that I watched a sci-fi movie and honestly did not know where it was going to go. I honestly thought, like, you know what, the world might end on this one. I don't think we're going to do it.
We're going to die.
Right. Like maybe this is it for Bruce Willis. Maybe he's not going to make it by the end. But it was adorable. It was gorgeous. I love that he has a Jewish mother, even though Bruce Willis, Corbin Dallas, is not Jewish, but he has a Jewish mother that is yelling at him throughout this movie.
I love it.
Yeah,
not the president. The president sounds like an idiot.
Yeah. And you don't sound like an idiot. Yeah.
You don't sound like an idiot.
Adorable. So
it.
yeah.
Alex, what would you give this movie? What would you give this movie?
In short, it was 4 out of 5, and god dang it, now it's 5 out of 5. So
I knew it.
It's one of those things. Once again, you know my reasonings. I just told you I rambled on for like 45 minutes or so. But yeah, it's 5 out of 5. Classic. Can't be angry at it.
And Juan, what would you give this rating? Oh, we can't hear you. There we go. No. Wait, just.
How many fingers? 4 or 5? Better be 5. 10.
You sound like a robot.
This is what we hear. We hear.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay, here we go. Like the title of the freaking movie, it's not the 4th element. It's definitely not the 3rd element. It is the 5th element. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Like everybody we saying it, this movie is a 5. Like freaking Alex was saying, when you start talking about dialogue, if you really think about it, Homegirl only said maybe less than 50 words that we could understand. The first, I don't know what language she was speaking when she came as like, then she went in full tongue when I was like, I don't know what language that is. I can't understand it. I can understand help, multipass, Lilu, I don't know love, I 5th element, I protect, all that ish. I can understand that. That's less than 50 words. All this. All the acting was right here. And with this, it was great. Oh, I love that movie, man. Like after I get back from karaoke, I'm definitely freaking watching 5th Element. Definitely watching it. On the projector, I'm gonna post a photo. I'm gonna be like, nom nom nom, nom 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 talk. Got to watch this movie right now.
Yeah, I am a 5 out of 5. I have a so I'm gonna show. I have the Fifth Element tattoo.
Woo! My man got the elements.
This was my freaking movie.
That's great.
I love this movie. It was my second tattoo I ever got in my life. Because this movie meant so much to me. So
how would you draw Lilu if you were to get a tattoo as an element stone? Like what would you like? Cause you got the 4 stones. What would you put? Would you put like something to symbolize Lilu around it or something? Or like what would
There's that lift at the beginning of the movie.
So I would draw her like Rose from Titanic with the elements on her neck.
And then just the orange hair. Yes, of course. Orange hair.
So with that, we're at the end of our time. We all love you. That's all that we have time to talk about the Fifth Element today. I'm so pissed because this is one of my favorite films. We can talk about this all night.
All night, baby.
Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to join our Discord, keep the conversation going.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 9:21. You shall be ready for our weather. My best show ever.
Thank you. Thank you to my guest Juan. Thank you to my guest Ruby Rod over here. And Alex and Toni, thank you all so much for joining me. This was an amazing conversation. I'm so happy y'all were here for it. Juan, where can we find you on the socials?
If you guys want to find me, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It is all I am Juan _Abdias. Come check me out. Posting new vids every day. I'll be having fun, making funny videos, doing awesome reviews like this more often. So be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, everybody. Having a great time.
We love it. Alex, where can we find you?
Very similar to Juan, except I am Cowie on socials. The main thing would be for Instagram, IAMCOWIE. Audition videos, shenanigans, very similar things. Feel free to drop by. Daily content.
Cast Alex. And Toni, where can we find you?
You guys can find me everywhere at the Toni Sanchez. Toni with an I, Sanchez with a Z.
I love it. You can find me at City of Stars 13 on Instagram, and I'm Jordyn Daniels here on TikTok. We'll be doing more on TikTok soon, so keep in tune. So Nom Watch Review and Basic Binges are now in podcast form. If you miss any of these live streams, you can not worry about it. You can listen to it next day on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, as well as here on Twitch. All of our platforms are at Nom Talk Network. Thank you to our wonderful producer, Stephanie. We love you. I love you. You are the Fifth Element. You are not the weakest link. You are the strongest link. You're amazing.
Good. Good.
Wasn't it? Thank you. Awesome.
That's pretty good.
And then you all are great. You all are awesome. Tune in to our next show, which is going to be the Nom Watch review of our favorite Michelle Yeoh films on Friday. Oh my God, Michelle Yeoh. I love her. That's all she makes me want to do is just vomit amazing, wonderful things about her. Anyway, it is so.
Have you seen Everywhere, Everything I Want?
I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it. Anyway,
Friday, guys. Friday.
We all love you. Mwah. Have a good night. You have a non-horrific night. See you.